Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dorian Graves' fingers glided over the blueprints with the precision of a master craftsman. His attention was fixed on the complex lines and details of his latest design, a revolutionary, eco-friendly skyscraper set to transform the city's skyline. The warm glow of his desk lamp cast sharp shadows across the room as he made another adjustment to the measurements. A sharp ping from his phone sliced through his focus. He glanced at the screen. "Don't wait up, darling. Client dinner ran late. Sabrina again. Third late meeting this week." Dorian's jaw tightened ever so slightly. He set the phone down and leaned back in his chair. Unbidden, his mind wandered back 5 years to their wedding. "You may now kiss the bride." Sabrina, radiant in her designer gown, beamed as she leaned in. Their kiss drew cheers from the crowd. "I still can't believe you chose me," Dorian had whispered. With a laugh like crystal, she'd replied, "How could I not? You're brilliant, successful, and you worship the ground I walk on. What more could a girl want?" But now Max's warning echoed louder than ever. "You sure about this, man? Sabrina's got a reputation." Dorian had ignored the red flags. He was in love and blind. Back in the present, a flash of silk caught his eye as he passed their bedroom. Sabrina's favorite robe lay tossed across the bed, carelessly abandoned. Odd. She was always meticulous with her expensive things. He picked it up, intending to hang it. That's when he felt it, a small, hard rectangle in the pocket. Not her sleek iPhone in the designer case he gave her for Christmas. This was something else. A burner phone. His hand stayed steady as he turned it on. No password. Rookie mistake. The screen lit up with damning proof. "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about how you felt beneath me. J. S has been working late all week. The Ritz. Room 1542. Tomorrow at 8. Don't keep me waiting. Beautiful. J. Julian." Months worth of texts, pictures, videos, detailed descriptions of secret rendezvous, plans for future escapes. Every message screamed betrayal. Dorian didn't scream, didn't throw the phone. Instead, he documented everything, photographing each message, video, and image with his own phone before slipping the burner back exactly where he found it. Then he turned to his computer. Within hours, he had traced the number. Julian Samuel, a venture capitalist, married, with a young daughter. A message popped up on his screen. "Mac, you still up? Got those security specs you wanted?" Dorian typed back, "Come over. I need to show you something." An hour later, Mac sat in Dorian's office, scrolling through the evidence with a grim look. "Jesus Christ," Mac muttered. "How long?" Dorian's voice was cold steel. "At least 6 months. I need everything on Julian Samuel. And I mean everything." Mac looked up from the screen, unease flickering in his eyes. The cold, unyielding focus in Dorian's expression made him shiver. "What exactly are you planning?" he asked. Dorian's lips curled into a slow, venomous smile. "They want to play games?" he said softly. "Then let's show them what happens when you toy with a serpent." "Dorian, whatever you're thinking. They're both going to learn what betrayal costs." Dorian cut him off. "No exceptions." He turned back to his computer, fingers flying across the keys as he began compiling a dossier. "I built Sabrina's entire social world," he muttered. "It's time she remembers who gave her that pedestal." The next morning, he kissed Sabrina goodbye as she headed off for her yoga class, watching her pull away in the luxury car he'd gifted her last Christmas. Within minutes, the GPS software Mac had installed was feeding him her exact location. Not the yoga studio. The Ritz. Room 1542. Dorian's smile deepened. Over the following weeks, he operated in silence, gathering data with the precision of a surgeon. He charted their routines, logged every rendezvous, documented every deception. His demeanor at home remained unchanged. If anything, he was even more attentive. Sabrina, too absorbed in her fantasy, never noticed the subtle chill beneath his touch, the fraction of distance in his smile. At a high-profile charity gala, Dorian watched her from across the room, mingling with the elite. Sabrina was radiant, laughing, flirtatious, playing the role of the neglected wife, basking in the thrill of forbidden love. Elena Hughes hung on her every word. "You deserve some fun, darling," she cooed. "Dorian is always buried in his work." Sabrina sighed dramatically. "Jude makes me feel wanted, desired. When he looks at me, I feel alive." Dorian moved effortlessly among the guests, champagne flute in hand, capturing every word on his phone. Rationalizations, excuses, lies, all carefully archived. His phone buzzed. A message from Mac. "Found the financials. You're going to want to see this." Later that night, while Sabrina slept beside him still wearing the scent of another man, Dorian sat in his home office, combing through Julian Samuel's financial records. Hidden accounts, forged reports, embezzlement, a fragile empire built on deception. Dorian began drafting anonymous emails to key investors, alerting them to troubling discrepancies. The first domino, set and ready to fall. Surrounded by blueprints and evidence, Dorian paused for a breath. He thought of his parents, immigrants who taught him the value of loyalty, who worked themselves into exhaustion so he could have a better life. What would they think of him now? Then he recalled Sabrina's mocking text to her lover. Dorian is so boring, so predictable. He actually thinks I'm at yoga right now. His hand tightened around his pen. No mercy, no forgiveness. They made a mockery of his love. Now they'd learn the cost. Let them underestimate him. Let them see only the devoted husband. The architect was designing something new, now something devastating. A plan not of steel and glass, but of ruin. The exclusive restaurant buzzed with subdued conversations and the gentle clink of fine china. At his usual table, Julian Samuel held court, recounting his latest business conquests to an entourage of eager listeners. Beside him sat his wife, Ivy, graceful, poised, and unreadable. She wore the kind of calm that came from years of practiced detachment. Across the room, Dorian watched them from a corner table, hidden in plain sight under the guise of a routine business dinner. He observed as Samuel's hand slipped beneath the table, subtly texting. Dorian didn't need to guess who the message was for. He noted the flicker of tension in Ivy's eyes. The way her smile tightened barely perceptible. Another lie. Another late meeting. Darling, Samuel announced as he rose from the table, adjusting his jacket. Don't wait up. Of course, Ivy murmured, her voice soft, composed. Give them my best. As Samuel strode out, Dorian's phone buzzed. A message from Max, short, but potent. Found it. You're not going to believe this. Attached was a link to an encrypted file. Later that night, Dorian sat in his office, the glow of his monitor illuminating his calm expression. He sifted through the data. The Serpent's Den, an elite underground club masquerading as a private social collective. In truth, it was Samuel's playground, a haven for the wealthy and immoral to indulge their affairs without fear of exposure. Or so they believed. Max's voice crackled through the speaker. Security's tight, but their systems are dated. I can get access to guest lists, surveillance footage, the works. Dorian nodded. Good. When's the next event? 2 weeks from Saturday. And yes, your wife and Samuel are both on the list. Dorian's fingers tapped rhythmically on the desk. Perfect. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Sabrina stood in the doorway, wrapped in silk and the illusion of innocence. Coming to bed soon, honey? Just finishing some work, Dorian said without looking away. Don't wait up. She pouted with practiced charm. You work too hard. Her phone chimed. She glanced down, and a flicker of a smile danced across her face, gone in an instant. Something important? Dorian asked casually. Oh, just Elena, she said breezily. You know how she is. She blew him a kiss and disappeared down the hall. Max's voice returned. Man, I don't know how you can stand it. Dorian's tone was ice. Practice. Send me everything you have on Ivy Samuel. I want to know what she knows and what she suspects. The next day, Dorian engineered a carefully timed encounter. At a charity committee meeting, Ivy Samuel sat alone, reviewing donor lists with quiet focus. Mrs. Samuel, he said, approaching with a warm smile. Dorian Graves. He extended a hand. I believe we met at the Hamilton benefit last month. Yes, Mr. Graves, she replied. Her handshake was firm, her smile polite but wary. Please, call me Dorian. He took the seat beside her. Actually, I was hoping to get your input on a project we're working on. A wellness center. Your background in art therapy could be incredibly valuable. Over the next hour, they delved into the topic. Dorian watched her slowly ease into the conversation, her professional passion beginning to shine through her initial reserve. She was sharp, articulate, not the ornamental spouse her husband treated her as. Eventually, she glanced at her phone and rose. I should go. I need to pick Lily up from school. Of course, Dorian said. Perhaps we could continue this over coffee next week? I'd love to hear more about your ideas for the therapy spaces. A beat. Then, I'd like that. As she gathered her things, her phone buzzed again. Dorian noticed the flicker of pain in her eyes as she read the screen. Everything all right? Fine, she said too quickly, her smile brittle. Just my husband. Another late meeting. Dorian kept his voice neutral. Those do seem to be happening more often in certain social circles these days. Their eyes met. For a moment, something unspoken passed between them, a quiet recognition of private wounds and shared disillusionment. Coffee sounds lovely, Mr. Graves, she said at last. Have your office get in touch with mine. After she left, Dorian messaged Mac. I'm in. Start pulling Samuel's full financials, all of them. Mac responded almost instantly. Already on it. You won't believe these numbers. Guy's been cooking his books for years. Dorian leaned back, a slow smile forming. The pieces were finally falling into place. That evening, Dorian attended a gallery opening, one he knew Sabrina would use as cover to rendezvous with Samuel. He moved through the elegant crowd like a shadow, unnoticed, eyes locked on the subtle signals. Their coded glances, the way their touches lingered just a second too long. Elena Hughes hovered nearby, pretending to admire the artwork while expertly redirecting potential interruptions. She was the perfect decoy, running interference so the affair could continue undisturbed. Dorian captured everything. His phone buzzed with 3 notifications in quick succession. A confirmation from Ivy for their upcoming coffee meeting. Another batch of financial documents from Mac. And a message from Sabrina. Don't wait up, darling. Girls' night with Elena. He watched her leave the gallery with Samuel. They got into separate vehicles, but Dorian knew their destination. The same hotel they always used. Room 1542. A pattern etched into their deceit. In his pocket, Dorian felt the slight weight of the discreet recording device Mac had given him, perfect for capturing conversations in compromising places. Soon, the Serpent's Den would become their undoing. But first, Ivy needed to be brought into the fold. 2 days later, they met at a quiet cafe tucked away from the public eye. Dorian arrived early and chose a secluded table. When Ivy entered, he noted how her eyes swept the room with practiced caution, a reflex forged by years in high society. "Thank you for meeting me," she said as she sat down across from him. "Thank you for coming. But I'll be honest, this isn't just about the wellness center." Her posture stiffened slightly. "Oh." Dorian slid a folder across the table. "I think you should see this." Inside, photographs, financial documents, and selected messages, a curated gallery of betrayal. Dorian watched her expression shift from confusion to heartbreak to grim acceptance. "How long have you known?" she asked softly. "About your husband and my wife?" "Recently." "About the Serpent's Den?" "That's a more interesting discovery." Her head jerked up. "The what?" As Dorian detailed what the club really was, Ivy's polished exterior began to crack. By the end, silent tears tracked down her cheeks. "Lily," she whispered. "What am I supposed to tell her?" "Nothing yet," Dorian said gently. He leaned in. "Ivy, I have a proposition. One that could protect your daughter's future and hold some very guilty people accountable." She met his eyes, pain giving way to focus. "I'm listening." For the next hour, they plotted. Dorian outlined his plan with surgical precision, watching as determination began to replace despair in her gaze. "You're not what I expected," she said at last. "No one expects the architect to be dangerous," he replied with a cold smile. "That's what makes it work." As they parted, Ivy touched his arm. "Thank you for showing me the truth." "The truth is only the beginning," Dorian replied. "Justice is what comes next." That night, he added Ivy's dossier to his growing archive of evidence. The trap was almost ready. The players were all in position. And soon, the Serpent's Den would welcome some very unexpected guests. The mighty were about to discover just how far they could fall. Sunlight poured through the towering windows of Mac's penthouse office, casting a sharp glow across the walls of monitors. Surveillance feeds, financial records, and encrypted chats lit up the screens like a digital web of truth and betrayal. Dorian stood behind Mac, watching as his friend's fingers moved with expert speed over multiple keyboards. "There," Max said, pulling up a cluster of transactions. "Samuel's been skimming from the company pension fund, funneling it into his private accounts, and financing his little club." Seated nearby, Ivy gasped and brought a hand to her mouth. "That's the employees' retirement money," she said, voice trembling. "He used our people's futures to finance his indulgences." "We've traced most of it," Mac replied. "Samuel funneled the money through a web of shell companies into private offshore accounts. Your husband's quite the financial architect, but not as skilled as the real thing," he added with a smirk, casting a knowing glance at Dorian. "These trails he left?" Max scoffed. "Amateur hour. Can you recover the funds?" Ivy asked, her voice tight. "Already working on it," Mac assured her. "More importantly, we can prove where the money went and why. The SEC will have a field day with this." Dorian rested a hand on Ivy's shoulder. "We'll make sure the employees are protected. But that's not our only reason for being here today." Ivy nodded, squaring her shoulders. "The Serpent's Den tell me everything." For the next hour, they walked through the intelligence Mac had compiled. The so-called private club operated under the facade of exclusivity and elite networking, but behind closed doors, it catered to the darkest appetites of the wealthy. Members paid outrageous fees for anonymity and access to hidden rooms where affairs unfolded beyond scrutiny. "Jude's been a member for 3 years, Max said, pulling up digital records. "He's one of their more frequent visitors. But lately, his attention has narrowed to one particular new member." A grainy security clip loaded. Sabrina appeared on screen, entering the club. Samuel greeted her before they disappeared into a private suite. The timestamp was recent, just 2 days ago. Ivy watched silently, her expression tightening. "How did I not see this?" "Because you didn't want to," Dorian said softly. Just like I didn't. We believed in loyalty, in vows. They relied on that blind trust. Not anymore, Ivy said coldly. What's our next step? The club's throwing an exclusive event next weekend, Max said. Private guest list, high buy-in. Both your husband and Sabrina are confirmed attendees. Perfect timing, Dorian murmured. He turned to Ivy. How would you like to crash a party? A slow, grim smile curved her lips. I thought you'd never ask. The three spent the afternoon in strategic coordination. Mac would oversee the technical side, security feeds, comms, backdoor access. Dorian continued laying the foundation for financial exposure and legal ruin. Ivy's role would be pivotal, the betrayed wife making a very public discovery at the perfect moment. Then, she hesitated. What about Lily? I can't leave her alone that night. Bring her, Dorian suggested without hesitation. Nothing underscores moral rot like the presence of an innocent child. It's not about using her, it's about showing them exactly who they're hurting. Ivy looked uncertain. Using my daughter as a prop. I don't know. Not a prop, Dorian said firmly. A mirror. Sometimes people need to see the damage they cause reflected in the eyes of someone pure. It's the only thing that breaks through. Their planning session was interrupted by a soft ping from Mac's system. Alert your wife's on her way up, Max said. Dorian checked his watch. Right on schedule. He turned to Ivy. Are you ready? She nodded and smoothed her designer dress, composure snapping into place. Every detail had been choreographed for this encounter. Moments later, the elevator door slid open. Sabrina entered Mac's office and froze briefly at the sight of Ivy. Oh, I didn't realize you had company. Mrs. Samuel and I were just discussing the new wellness center project, Dorian said smoothly. You remember I mentioned it. Of course, Sabrina replied, her smile brittle. How lovely to see you, Ivy. How's Jude? Busy, as always, Ivy answered with perfect poise. So many late meetings lately. A flicker crossed Sabrina's face, uncertainty, maybe guilt before she quickly masked it. Well, I won't interrupt, she said lightly. I just needed to let Dorian know I'll be late tonight. Charity committee meeting. Of course, darling, Dorian said, placing a kiss on her cheek. Don't work too hard. After she left, Ivy let out a shaky breath. That was harder than I thought it would be. You did perfectly, Dorian assured her. Did you see her face when you mentioned the late meetings? They think they're so clever, Max scoffed, eyes flicking back to his monitors. Speaking of which, your wife isn't going to any charity event. She just texted Samuel. Dorian's jaw tightened. Track them. I want eyes on everywhere they go. Everyone they meet, especially anyone tied to the Serpent's Den. They spent the next few hours tightening the plan. Mac had mapped the club's security systems, pinpointing weaknesses they could exploit. Ivy provided key insights into Samuel's routine, his patterns, his blind spots, his pressure points. Dorian took it all in, folding each detail into his blueprint for retribution. There's one more player we can't ignore, Dorian said at last. Elena Hughes. Ivy's mouth twisted. Sabrina's enabler. She's more than that, Max said, pulling up a string of surveillance stills. She's been coordinating their meetings, running cover. She's got skin in this game. She always does, Ivy muttered. Elena's been clinging to Sabrina's coattails for years. Jude's too, when it suits her. Dorian studied the images on the screen. She might be a problem. Or a leverage point, Max offered. People like her? They'll sell out anyone if it means saving themselves. Noted. Dorian added her name to the growing list in his file. We'll keep her close. She might serve a purpose later. As evening neared, they reviewed every detail for the upcoming Serpent's Den event. The timing would be everything, each movement calculated for maximum effect. Lily's piano recital is that afternoon, Ivy said suddenly. I can't miss it. We wouldn't ask you to, Dorian replied. Actually, it works in our favor. Go to the recital, take photos, be the devoted mother. Then we make our entrance, just as things reach a boiling point. Ivy stood, gathering her things. I should get home. Lily's playdate ends soon. One last thing, Dorian said, handing her a sleek, nondescript phone. Courtesy of Mac, he added. Looks like a regular phone, but it's loaded with custom features. It's clean, Mac said. Untraceable. And it gives us a secure line. No one listens but us. Ivy tucked it into her purse. Thank you, both of you. I never imagined I'd be here, planning revenge. Dorian's smile was cold and certain. Neither did I, but they left us no choice. Now they'll see what that means. After she left, Mac turned to him. You sure about bringing the kid into this? Lily won't see anything she shouldn't, Dorian said. But her presence? It'll say everything that needs saying about damage, about consequence, about the lives they're wrecking. Mac hesitated. And your endgame? How far are you willing to go? Dorian didn't answer at first. He stood by the window, watching the skyline, his reflection sharp in the glass. As far as I have to, he said finally. They chose this path. Now they'll feel the fire they lit. The coming week would be critical. Every move had to be flawless. Every piece in position. The serpent's den was waiting, and with it, the first strike in their downfall. But tonight, Dorian still had a part to play. A home to return to. A mask to wear. Let them believe he was blind. Let them feel clever and untouchable. The architect had drawn the lines. Soon, they would understand the true cost of design. The entrance to the serpent's den concealed its true purpose. Behind the elegant front of an exclusive private club, decadence and deceit thrived. Security guards in sharp suits nodded as Dorian led Ivy inside. Lily's small hand nestled in her mother's grip. "Remember," Dorian murmured, "timing is everything." Ivy gave Lily's hand a reassuring squeeze. "Stay close to Mommy, sweetheart." Lily nodded, eyes wide as they took in the lavish decor, crystal chandeliers casting fractured light across mirrored walls, the air dense with perfume, whispered secrets, and artificial charm. Laughter drifted from the main room, brittle and forced. In Dorian's earpiece, Max's voice buzzed softly. "Security's compromised. I've got control of all cameras and screens waiting on your signal." Dorian scanned the crowd until he spotted Sabrina lounging on a velvet chaise, Jude Samuel's hand resting possessively on her knee. Elena lingered nearby, eyes alert despite her lazy swirl of champagne. "Mommy?" Lily tugged at Ivy's dress. "Isn't that Daddy?" Conversations faltered. Heads turned. Jude Samuel paled as he saw his wife and daughter. Sabrina straightened so quickly her champagne sloshed over the glass's rim. "Ivy," Jude said with forced cheer, standing. "What an unexpected surprise. This isn't really a place for children." "No," Ivy replied coldly. "It's a place for adultery, isn't it?" A hush fell over the room. Couples shifted uneasily, suddenly fascinated by their drinks. "I don't know what you're implying," Jude stammered. "This is a private social club." "Oh, very private," Dorian interjected as he stepped beside Ivy. "Perfect for secret rendezvous, far from judging eyes. Isn't that right, darling?" Sabrina's glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble. "Dorian, what are you doing here?" "Supporting a friend," he replied smoothly. "Isn't that what you always preach, Sabrina? Being there for our friends?" "Mac," he subvocalized. The room's massive screens flickered, then came alive. Footage began to roll grainy at first, then crystal clear captured from hidden angles, showing club members in compromising situations. Among them, Sabrina and Jude. Intimacy on full display. Secrets laid bare. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Oh my God," someone whispered. Panic exploded. Guests scrambled for exits only to find them sealed. Phones were yanked out, but there was no signal. Jammed. Tension snapped like a wire. Screams, arguments. Accusations flew. One woman slapped her husband. Another cried. "You scumsucker," Jude snarled, advancing toward Dorian. "You have no right." Dorian's voice sliced through the noise. "No right to expose your lies. Your theft?" The footage shifted now. Financial records appeared on screen. Bank transfers. Forged documents. Proof of embezzlement, corruption, laundering. "Did you mention to Ivy how you funneled her employees' pensions into your private ventures?" Dorian asked casually. "Will Sabrina hear about the offshore accounts next?" Sabrina turned to Jude, her face gone white. "What's he talking about?" "He's lying." Jude barked. "It's fake, all of it. Like the doctored financials you fed your investors?" Ivy's voice was like steel. Lily looked up, confused. "Mommy, why is Daddy yelling?" The question hit harder than any accusation. Jude faltered, his gaze dropping to his daughter. "Lily, princess, wait outside, okay?" "She stays," Ivy said sharply. "She deserves to know who her father really is." More damning footage rolled. Jude with other women, Sabrina with other men. Years of betrayal unraveling in brutal detail. "You're ruining everything," Sabrina hissed at Dorian. "All of our lives." "No, darling," Dorian corrected her softly. "You did this yourselves. I'm just ensuring you face the consequences." Elena tried to slip away unnoticed, but Dorian's voice halted her. "Going somewhere, Elena? Don't you want to stay for the part where we reveal your role in all this?" She froze, then slowly turned back, her face drained of color. "The messages you sent arranging their meetings," Dorian continued. "The lies you helped cover up. The money you took for your silence, it's all documented, Elena." Sabrina's eyes widened in disbelief. "You were paid to help him?" "I needed the money," Elena whispered. "And you never cared about anyone but yourself," Dorian added. The betrayal in Sabrina's eyes would have been almost amusing under normal circumstances, but in that moment, it was simply tragic. Around them, other club members began turning on each other. Accusations erupted. Marriages shattered in real time. The once imposing facade of the serpent's den crumbled, revealing the rot beneath. "Security breach," Max's voice crackled through Dorian's earpiece. "Samuel's personal guard is trying to override the system." "Right on schedule," Dorian murmured. He raised his voice, addressing the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid our time here is nearly up. But don't worry, copies of everything you've seen tonight have already been sent to several interested parties. Your spouses, your boards of directors, the SEC. I'm sure tomorrow's papers will be quite revealing. You'll regret this, Jude hissed, desperation making him reckless. I have connections. Dorian's reply was calm, almost mocking. Past tense. Check your phone. Jude pulled it out, his face draining of color as he staggered. His accounts were empty, his assets frozen. Years of carefully crafted corruption wiped out in an instant. You can't do this, he gasped. I already have, Dorian replied. He turned to Ivy. Ready? She nodded, taking Lily's hand. More than ready. This isn't over. Sabrina's voice echoed after them as they made for the exit. Dorian paused and looked back at his wife with cold eyes. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. As they left the serpent's den, the sounds of arguing and shattering glass followed them. Dorian had set the fuse. Now, he would watch it burn. In the car, Lily quickly fell asleep, exhausted from the evening's drama. Ivy stroked her daughter's hair, tears falling silently. Are you all right? Dorian asked quietly. Yes, Ivy wiped her eyes. It needed to be done. She needed to see, even if it hurt. The truth often does, he agreed. But lies hurt more in the end. His phone buzzed, a message from Matt confirming that all the evidence had been distributed as planned. By morning, the scandal would break, lives ruined, reputations destroyed. Dorian felt no remorse. They had chosen their path. Now, they would walk it to its bitter conclusion. The headline blared across every major news outlet the next morning. Venture capitalist Julian Samuel accused of massive fraud. Elite social club exposed as haven for adultery. Samuel investments under federal investigation. Dorian sat sipping his coffee, watching the chaos unfold across multiple screens in Mac's office. Stock prices nosedived. Phone lines were jammed with panicked investors. Social media exploded with scandal. They're trying to control the damage, Mac reported, monitoring various channels. Samuel's PR team is scrambling, but the evidence is too solid. They can't spin this. What about Sabrina? Dorian asked. Mac pulled up another screen. Hiding out at the Four Seasons. Her credit cards were declined this morning. Seems someone flagged them for suspicious activity. How unfortunate, Dorian murmured. And her social circle? Scattering like rats from a sinking ship. The security footage displayed Sabrina attempting to enter her favorite private club, only to be turned away politely but firmly. Her expression crumbled as the doors closed on her. She's been blacklisted from most of the elite venues, Matt confirmed. Anonymous tips about her activities have made her quite unwelcome. Good, Dorian said, setting down his cup. Samuel's board of directors has called an emergency meeting. They'll be voting to remove him within the hour. The SEC is already reviewing his records. The door burst open as Elena Hughes stormed in, her makeup smeared with tears. You have to help me, she pleaded. Dorian raised an eyebrow. I don't have to do anything, Elena. In fact, I distinctly remember warning you to choose your sides carefully. They're all turning against me. She sobbed. My friends, my clients, everyone knows I helped them. I'll be ruined. Actions have consequences, Dorian replied coldly. You chose to aid their betrayal. Did you think there wouldn't be a price? I'll tell you everything, she offered desperately. Things you don't know about Sabrina, about you. There's nothing you can tell me that I don't already know, Dorian interrupted. But since you're so eager to speak, Mac, please. Mac pressed a button on his computer, and Elena's voice filled the room. Of course I helped them hide it. Sabrina's my best friend, and Jude pays very well for discretion. That was recorded last week at the Serpent's Den, Mac explained cheerfully, adding, along with several other, revealing conversations about your role in their affairs. Elena collapsed into a chair, her face pale. Recording everything for months, Dorian confirmed. Every meeting you arranged, why you helped maintain the lies, the bribes you took. What do you want from me? Nothing, Dorian smiled cruelly. That's the beauty of it, Elena. You're no longer useful to anyone. No one trusts a known traitor. Her phone buzzed, another social media notification. Another friend publicly denouncing her. Another client cutting ties. Please, she whispered. I'll do anything. You already did, Dorian replied. You helped destroy my marriage. Now, you get to watch your own life unravel. Seems fair, doesn't it? Max's computer chimed with new alerts. Samuel's out, he reported. The board voted unanimously to remove him. His assets are frozen, pending investigation. How's Ivy handling it? Dorian asked. Like a queen, Mac pulled up footage from a press conference. Ivy stood at a podium, elegant and composed. I am deeply shocked by these revelations regarding my husband's financial misconduct. My primary concern now is protecting our employees' pensions and ensuring justice is served. As of this morning, I have filed for divorce and am cooperating fully with investigators. She's perfect, Dorian murmured. Strong, sympathetic, completely blindsided by her husband's crimes. The media loves her, Mac confirmed. She's already getting interview requests from all the major networks. People love a wronged woman who fights back. Elena stood unsteadily. I should go. Yes, you should. Dorian didn't look at her. Oh, and Elena, don't bother selling your story to the tabloids. We've already provided them with a detailed account of your role in all this. Elena fled, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Brutal, man, Mac whistled lowly. They wanted to play games, Dorian shrugged. I'm just better at them. His phone buzzed with a message from Sabrina. We need to talk. Dorian typed back. No, we really don't. Another message came through. Please, I can explain everything. He blocked her number without responding. She's getting desperate, Mac noted, running out of friends, money, and options. Good, Dorian replied, straightening his jacket. That's exactly where I want her. Keep monitoring everything. I want to know the moment either of them tries to retaliate. You think they will? Of course. People like them never accept defeat gracefully. They'll do something reckless soon. And when they do, Dorian's smile turned predatory. We'll destroy whatever's left of them. He headed for the door, pausing briefly. How's Lily doing? Ivy says she's okay, confused, but okay. They're staying at the safe house we arranged. Good. Double the security there. Samuel's getting desperate. I don't trust him not to try something rash. As if on cue, Mac's computer pinged with a new alert. Speaking of rash, he said, Samuel just tried to access his emergency accounts in the Kimmins. The ones we already emptied. Yep. The man's not handling it well, Mac added, showing footage of Samuel having a complete meltdown at the bank. Send that footage to the media, Dorian instructed. Let them see exactly what kind of man he is when he's not in control. Dorian left Mac's office and headed for his car, ignoring the journalists waiting outside. Let them speculate. Let them dig. Everything they uncovered would only confirm what he'd already revealed. Each new discovery would hammer another nail into Samuel and Sabrina's coffins. The dominoes were falling exactly as planned, and he was just getting started. The law office of Samuel's newest attorney exuded both old money and desperation. Dorian sat calmly across from Julian Samuel and his lawyer, watching them squirm. These accusations are baseless, the attorney declared. My client. Your client is finished, Dorian interrupted smoothly. The SEC has his records. The board has voted him out. His assets are frozen. Would you like me to continue? You orchestrated this, Jude snarled. You planted evidence. Did I force you to embezzle from your company's pension fund? Dorian's voice was razor-sharp. Did I make you doctor financial reports, create fake accounts? No, that was all you. We'll sue you for defamation. With what money? Dorian smiled coldly. Your accounts are empty. Your assets are frozen. Even this overpriced attorney won't stick around once he realizes you can't pay him. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Face it, Samuel. You're done. The only question is how much deeper you want to dig your grave. I have friends in high places, Jude muttered. Dorian corrected him, past tense. Check your phone. See how many of them are still answering your calls. Jude grabbed his phone, fingers trembling as he scrolled through his contacts. Number after number went straight to voicemail. What do you want? He finally asked, defeated. Nothing, Dorian replied, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. That's what makes this perfect. You can't buy me off. You can't threaten me. You can't stop me. Dorian stood up, buttoning his jacket. I'm going to watch you lose everything, piece by piece, and there's nothing you can do about it. He left them there, the lawyer already reaching for his briefcase, preparing to abandon another sinking ship. In the lobby, his phone buzzed with a message from Mac. Sabrina's making moves, Mac reported. She called in some favors and hired a PI to dig into you. Dorian smiled. Right on schedule. The private investigator wasn't hard to find. Mac had identified him within hours of his hiring. A quick meeting, a larger check than Sabrina could offer, and the man was suddenly very cooperative. She wants dirt on you, Mac explained, accepting Dorian's payment. Something she can use to fight back. And what will you tell her? Nothing useful, just dead ends and wild goose chases exactly as we agreed. Good man, Dorian muttered. But Sabrina wasn't finished. When bribery failed, she resorted to blackmail. When that didn't work, she turned to threats. The messages flooded his blocked inbox. I'll expose your family's past. Your clients won't work with you once they know the truth. You think you're perfect? I know your secrets. Each threat only amused Dorian more. He'd already documented and countered every potential attack before she even thought of them. Mac forwarded another alert. Samuel's trying something new. He's contacting your clients, spreading rumors. Dorian checked the details on his tablet. Samuel had been busy, reaching out to major developers and investors, attempting to poison their opinions of Dorian's firm. Mr. Graves, his assistant's voice came through the intercom. Mr. Chun from Azure Development is here. He seems concerned. Send him in. James Chun strode in, tablet in hand. Dorian, we need to talk. I've been hearing some disturbing things from Jude Samuel. Dorian interrupted smoothly. Let me guess. He told you I'm unstable, untrustworthy, that my firm is on shaky ground. Sean blinked. How did you? Because he's desperate, Dorian replied, pulling up a file on his computer and turning the screen toward Sean. These are Samuel's real financial records, not the fake reports he's been feeding his investors. Notice anything interesting? Sean leaned forward, his eyes widening as he scanned the numbers. This can't be right. These transactions are illegal. Exactly. That's why the SEC is investigating him, why his assets are frozen, and why he's trying to discredit anyone he sees as a threat to what's left of his reputation. Sean relaxed slightly. I appreciate your candor. When Samuel approached me, you did the right thing by coming to me directly. Dorian stood, extending his hand. Transparency is everything in our business, Mr. Chan. I trust this clears up any concerns you had. After Chan left, reassured and apologetic, Mac called. That's the third client Samuel's tried to poach this week. And the third one who's stuck with us. Dorian noted. How's he handling the rejection? Not well. Security cameras at his club showed him trashing the place after Shaw called to sever ties. Send the footage to his board, Dorian instructed. Let them see how their former CEO deals with stress. A new alert popped up on his screen. Ivy's security team had reported movement near the safe house. Mac, what's going on at Ivy's? Samuel tried to get past the security gate. The guards turned him away, but he was ranting about seeing his daughter. Increase security. I want eyes on him at all times. It's already done. Ivy says Lily didn't even know he was there. Dorian's phone buzzed with a text from Ivy. Thank you for the extra security. Jude's getting erratic. Stay safe. He replied, don't hesitate to call if you need anything. The next attack came from an unexpected source, Elena Hughes. Desperate to salvage something from the wreckage of her social life, she took to the media with a story claiming Dorian was the real villain. The interview lasted exactly 6 hours before Mac released evidence of her involvement in Samuel's schemes. Her tearful confession quickly became overshadowed by revelations about her own corruption. They're running out of options, Mac observed during their evening strategy session. Samuel's burned through 3 law firms. Sabrina's credit cards were maxed out. Elena had been blacklisted from society. Good, Dorian mused as he reviewed the latest surveillance reports. Have you traced the source of those rumors about my family? Sabrina hired a hacker journalist to dig into your parents' immigration story. Don't worry, I've taken care of it, Mac replied. How? Let's just say the journalist stumbled upon some far more interesting details about Sabrina's own past. The article he's writing now isn't exactly what she paid for. Dorian smiled grimly. Perfect. A notification pinged another security alert from the safe house. This time, Samuel had sent lawyers demanding access to Lily. He's getting desperate, Mac warned. Desperate people do stupid things. Dorian's voice was cold. Let him. The more he lashes out, the more evidence we gather. Each failed attack only proves why he shouldn't be anywhere near Lily. His phone buzzed again. Sabrina, from a new number. You can't ignore me forever. We need to talk about this like adults. Dorian finally replied, there's nothing to talk about. You made your choices. Now live with them. I'll tell everyone about us, she threatened. About our marriage. Our private life. Go ahead, Dorian typed back. Unlike you, I have nothing to hide. He blocked the new number and returned to his work. Let them plot and scheme. Let them fight back. Each attempt would only speed up their downfall. By the time he left the office that night, 3 more of Samuel's business associates had cut ties, 2 more social clubs had revoked Sabrina's membership, and another journalist had declined to publish Elena's version of events. The news was tightening. Soon, they'd have nowhere left to turn. His phone chimed one last time. A message from Ivy. Lily asked about you today. Says she misses her Uncle Dorian. For the first time that day, his smile was genuine. Tell her I miss her too. Stay safe, both of you. Tomorrow would bring new attacks, more desperate moves to regain control. Samuel and Sabrina would refuse to accept their fate. But Dorian was ready. Let them come. Every move they made only brought them closer to their ultimate destruction. The game was nearly over, and Dorian held all the winning cards. Dorian watched the security feed as Jude Samuel paced his penthouse office, phone pressed to his ear. The once powerful venture capitalist had grown gaunt, his designer suit hanging loosely on his frame. You don't understand, Samuel pleaded into the phone. I can explain everything about my father's dealings. The call ended abruptly. Another investor cutting ties. Max's voice came through Dorian's earpiece. That's the 3rd rejection today. He's running out of options. Good, Dorian muttered, turning to his laptop to review the latest intelligence. What about the offshore accounts? We found them all. His father was sloppy. Left paper trails a mile wide. Want me to release the documents? Not yet. Let's see how he handles this first. On the screen, Samuel held his phone against the wall, then slumped into his chair, his head in his hands. The mighty brought low. Dorian's own phone buzzed with a message from Ivy. Jude's lawyers are pushing for unsupervised visits with Lily. They won't get them, Dorian replied. The evidence we have ensures that. Another screen showed Sabrina trying to enter her favorite club, only to be turned away. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her desperation as she argued with the staff. Sir, Mrs. Graves is here, his assistant's voice interrupted. She's insisting. Dorian smiled coldly. Send her in. Sabrina swept into his office, a mere shadow of her former glamorous self. Her designer clothes were from last season. Her jewelry, noticeably absent, likely sold to keep up appearances. You've made your point, she declared, attempting to sound commanding. This has gone far enough. Has it? Dorian didn't look up from his work. I don't think it's gone nearly far enough. Our friends. Our reputation. Your friends? He corrected. Your reputation. I'm doing just fine. You're the one destroying everything. Now he looked up, fixing her with a piercing stare. No, Sabrina. You destroyed everything when you chose to betray our marriage. I'm just ensuring you face the consequences. It was a mistake, she pleaded, changing tactics. I was confused. Unhappy. Save the performance. His voice cut like a blade. You weren't confused. You weren't unhappy. You were greedy. Selfish. You wanted more attention, excitement. Now you have neither. I'll tell everyone about your family, she threatened desperately. About your father's struggles when you first came here. Go ahead. He smiled, revealing his teeth. Unlike you, I'm not ashamed of my family's history. We worked hard, stayed honest, built something real. What have you built, Sabrina? Besides a web of lies. She recoiled as if struck. You're cruel. No. He stood, his tone hard. I'm just no longer blind to what you are. He pressed a button on his desk. Security will escort you out. Don't come back. As she was led away, Max's voice returned. Samuel's on the move. Heading to Ivy's charity event. Right on schedule. Alert her security team. The charity gala was in full swing when Samuel arrived, trying to project his old confidence. He made it 3 steps before security intercepted him. Sir, you're not on the list. Don't be ridiculous, Samuel blustered. My wife is chairing this event. Ex-wife. Ivy's voice cut through the conversation. She approached, elegant and composed. And you're not welcome here, Jude. Ivy, please let me explain. Explain what? Her voice carried, drawing attention. How you stole from our employees' pensions. How you lied to everyone. How you betrayed our family. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. She gestured to security. Remove him, and make sure the press gets good photos. As Samuel was dragged away, photographers swarmed. Dorian watched from the shadows, another piece falling into place. Back in his office, he reviewed the day's progress with Mac. Samuel's father's records are ready to leak, Mac reported. Once this hits the media, the whole family's reputation is finished. Do it. And make sure those videos of Sabrina reach the right gossip columns. You sure about that? They're pretty damaging. She chose to record them. Let everyone see who she really is. Dorian's phone lit up with notification after notification as the information spread. Samuel's father's decades of fraud exposed. Sabrina's private moments made public. Their worlds crumbling in real time. A message from Elena Hughes popped up. Please, I can help you. I know things about both of them. Dorian deleted it without reading further. She had chosen her side long ago. Mac, make sure Miss Hughes' role in all this gets proper attention. She wanted to play both sides, let her face the consequences. Already done. Those recordings of her taking bribes to cover for them just hit social media. Dorian leaned back, satisfaction flooding through him. They'd all thought they were clever, untouchable. Now, they would learn the true meaning of consequences. Samuel's desperate calls went unanswered. Sabrina's social invitations dried up. Elena's attempts at damage control backfired spectacularly. And Dorian? He was just getting started. The real destruction was yet to come. Sir, his assistant's voice came through again. Mr. Chin called. The Azure development contract is ready to sign. And Mrs. Samuel asked me to give you this. It was a simple note in Ivy's elegant handwriting. Lily asked if you're coming to her recital next week. She's saving you a seat. For the first time that day, Dorian's smile softened with warmth. Let Samuel and Sabrina plot their desperate schemes. Let them try to salvage what was left of their ruined lives. He had already won, and their suffering was just beginning. The stage was set in the Grand Plaza Hotel's main ballroom. News cameras were positioned strategically, reporters briefed and ready. A carefully curated guest list of society's elite, all eager for the next act in the ongoing drama. Dorian adjusted his tie, reviewing the final preparations with Mac. All the evidence is loaded, he asked. Ready to go? Samuel and Sabrina won't know what hit them, Mac replied. And they'll both be here? Samuel thinks it's a business opportunity, his last chance to save his company. Sabrina believes it's a society fundraiser where she can rebuild her reputation. Dorian nodded. Perfect. The ballroom quickly filled. The city's wealthy and powerful, drawn by rumors of more scandal to come. Dorian noted familiar faces, board members, social leaders, former friends of the disgraced couple. Samuel arrived first, desperately trying to network. But conversations fell silent and backs turned as he approached, years of goodwill shattered by his exposed corruption. Sabrina swept in later, head held high despite her reduced circumstances. Her dress was borrowed, her jewelry fake, but she still tried to project the confidence of her old self. Neither of them noticed the cameras tracking their every move, nor the microphones capturing their increasingly desperate attempts to salvage their positions. At precisely 9 o'clock, Dorian took the stage. The room hushed. Good evening, he began smoothly. Thank you all for coming. Some of you may be wondering why you're here. Samuel froze mid-conversation. Sabrina's champagne glass trembled. Recently, our community was rocked by scandal, Dorian continued. Revelations about infidelity, fraud, corruption, but you haven't heard the whole story. Tonight, that changes. The massive screens behind him flickered to life, showing security footage from the Serpent's Den, not the previously released clips, but much worse. Much worse. Samuel threatening employees to keep quiet about his schemes. Sabrina bragging about manipulating Dorian while draining his accounts. Both of them mocking their spouses, their friends, everyone they claimed to care about. Stop this, Samuel demanded, starting forward. Security blocked his path. Oh, we're just getting started, Dorian said coldly. Let's talk about your father's empire. Jude, the one built on fraud and extortion. The one you so proudly continued. More evidence appeared on the screens. Bank records, witness statements, years of criminal behavior exposed in merciless detail. You can't prove any of this, Samuel blustered, but his face had gone ash white. I already have, Dorian replied. The SEC has all of this and more. They'll be announcing formal charges tomorrow morning. But I wanted your friends to see it first. Sabrina tried to slip away, but Dorian's voice stopped her. Leaving so soon, darling? But we haven't gotten to your part yet. The screens changed again. Text messages. Photos. Videos. The things she thought were private. You didn't, she whispered. You forget who installed our home security system, he replied. Who handled all our technology. Did you really think those recordings you made were just for Samuel's eyes? The audience murmured in shock as Sabrina's true nature was exposed, her manipulation of friends, her exploitation of Dorian's wealth, her countless betrayals. These are lies, she protested weakly. No, Sabrina. For once in your life, you're facing the truth. Your truth, Dorian replied. Security had to restrain Samuel as more evidence mounted his father's crimes, his own embezzlement, the lives he'd ruined with his greed and arrogance. I'll destroy you, he threatened. With what? Dorian's voice was cold. Your money's gone. Your connections abandoned you. Your reputation, he gestured to the screens, destroyed by your own actions. The final blow came from an unexpected direction. Ivy entered, Lily holding her hand. Daddy, Lily's voice rang out through the silent room. Why are you hurting people? Samuel crumpled, all his defenses and bluster shattered by his daughter's innocent question. I'm releasing all of this to the media tonight, Dorian announced to the room, along with evidence of everyone who helped cover up their crimes. You all might want to check your phones. Those who aided them well. I believe the phrase is guilty by association. Phones buzzed throughout the ballroom as reputations crumbled in real time. You can't do this, Sabrina pleaded. I already have, Dorian replied. He turned back to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, you've spent years celebrating these people, admiring them, following their lead. Now you know who they really are. Choose your next moves carefully. The exodus began immediately. Former friends couldn't distance themselves fast enough. Phones rang as damage control efforts began. Samuel had to be escorted out, ranting about lawsuits and revenge. Sabrina remained frozen, watching her social world disintegrate. Why? She asked. Dorian's security approached to remove her. Why like this? Because you chose to play games, he answered simply. I'm just better at them than you. After the chaos subsided, Mac joined him at the podium. That was brutal, he observed. It was necessary, Dorian replied. He straightened his tie. Have the media releases gone out? All channels, Mac confirmed. By morning, they'll be ruined beyond recovery. Good, Dorian said. He watched Ivy comfort Lily across the room. Make sure the security footage gets to Samuel's custody hearing. Already done, Mac replied. Mac hesitated. You know they'll try to fight back. Let them try, Dorian's smile was predatory. Each attempt will only destroy them further. The fallout was immediate and devastating. By midnight, Samuel's remaining business partners had severed all ties. Sabrina's social circle had evaporated completely. Their world had burned to ash. And Dorian? He went home to review the architectural plans for his latest project, a center for victims of financial fraud and domestic betrayal. Sometimes, destruction led to creation, and he was just getting started. The morning headlines told the final chapter of Samuel and Sabrina's downfall. Samuel arrested on federal fraud charges, and society, couple's empire collapse. Serpent's Den scandal claims final victim. Dorian reviewed them over breakfast, satisfaction coursing through him. Max's morning report confirmed total victory. Samuel, facing multiple federal indictments, had fled the country but was arrested at the airport. His father's entire financial empire was under investigation, with decades of fraud exposed. Sabrina, penalized and abandoned, had retreated to a small apartment in the suburbs. Her social media accounts were deleted, and her former friends pretended they'd never known her. Elena Hughes had left the city entirely, her reputation destroyed by her role in their schemes. But Dorian wasn't finished yet. The foundation paperwork is ready, his lawyer confirmed. The Center for Recovery and Renewal, focusing on helping victims of financial fraud and domestic betrayal rebuild their lives. Perfect, Dorian replied, signing the documents. Dorian made sure that Samuel's seized assets were directed to the pension fund from which he had stolen. His victims deserved restitution. Anik interrupted their conversation as Ivy entered, as elegant as ever, but now radiating an inner strength that sharpened her grace. The first support group meeting is tonight, she announced. We already have 20 participants. Good, Dorian replied, gesturing for her to sit. How's Lily? Better. The therapist says she's processing everything well. She asks about you. She says she can't wait for you to be at her next recital. They reviewed the foundation's plans to gather programs for financial literacy, counseling services, and legal aid for those fighting back against fraud and betrayal. You've turned revenge into something positive, Ivy observed. Justice, Dorian corrected. Revenge is personal. This is about ensuring others don't suffer the same fate. His phone buzzed with another desperate message from Sabrina, begging for mercy. He deleted it without reading further. Still no forgiveness? Ivy asked softly. Some actions can't be forgiven, he replied. Some betrayals leave scars that never heal. The best we can do is ensure they never happen again. The foundation grew rapidly. Success stories piled up, lives rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. Dorian watched it all with satisfaction, knowing his pain had given birth to something meaningful, something lasting. Samuel's trial dominated headlines for weeks. His father's empire collapsed completely, generations of corruption exposed and punished. Sabrina's attempts to rebuild her social standing failed repeatedly. Her beauty, once her greatest asset, couldn't overcome her exposed true nature. But Dorian had moved beyond them. Their destruction was complete. His focus now was on building something new, the center that became his legacy. A place where victims found strength, where betrayal transformed into resolve. Through it all, he had become someone who understood both darkness and light, who could be ruthless in pursuit of justice, yet gentle with those deserving of protection. Lily's piano recital marked the final chapter. She played beautifully, her innocence unmarred by her father's sins. Afterward, she hugged Dorian tightly. Thank you for making Mommy happy again, she whispered. He held her close, remembering why the destruction had been necessary. Some things were worth burning the world to protect. Later, in his office, Dorian reviewed plans for the center's expansion, more locations, more programs, more lives to rebuild. A message from Mac appeared. Samuel's appeal had been denied. He was facing a minimum of 20 years. Dorian smiled. Justice had been served. The sun set on his empire of vengeance, but rose on something far greater, a legacy built not just on destruction, but on renewal. He was no longer the man who discovered that phone in his wife's drawer. He was someone stronger, someone who understood that true power didn't lie just in the ability to destroy, but in the choice of what to build from the ashes. The serpent had been crushed, but from its remains, something far more powerful had risen. 5 years later, the Center for Recovery and Renewal stood as a testament to transformation. What had begun as one man's instrument of revenge had evolved into an international network of support and rehabilitation, helping thousands rebuild their lives after betrayal and fraud. Dorian Graves surveyed the newest addition to the complex from his office. The Lily Samuel Wing, dedicated to helping children affected by familial trauma, would open next month. The irony of naming it after the child whose innocence had helped expose the serpent's den wasn't lost on him. The final inspection report, sir, his assistant said, placing a folder on his desk. And Mr. Stone is here for your meeting. Mac entered, looking more refined than his tech entrepreneur days, but still carrying that sharp edge of cynical awareness that had made him such a valuable ally. The annual numbers are in, Mac announced, settling into a chair. You're not going to believe the impact stats. Dorian reviewed the data. Over 5,000 people helped in the past year alone, millions in fraudulent assets recovered, and hundreds of lives rebuilt. How's our special guest doing? Dorian asked. Mac grinned. Still rotting in federal prison. Samuel's latest appeal was denied last week. The evidence was too solid. His father died 6 months ago, alone in minimum security. The empire they spent generations building. Max snapped his fingers, gone in an instant. Dorian nodded, satisfaction warming him. Justice had been thorough. What about Sabrina? He asked, though he already knew. He kept tabs on them all, ensuring they never recovered enough to pose a threat again. Still living in that small apartment in New Jersey. Works as a sales clerk at a department store. Tries to date occasionally. Max shrugged. Your expose was pretty thorough. Anyone who Googles her finds out exactly who she is. And Elena? Dorian asked. Last I heard, she was in Arizona, changed her name, trying to start over. Not having much luck, though. Turns out being a known betrayer makes it hard to build new relationships. Their conversation was interrupted by a knock. Ivy entered, elegant as ever, but now radiating the confidence of a woman who knew her own worth. The board meeting's in 10 minutes, she reminded them. As the center's director of outreach, she'd found her true calling, helping others escape the same traps she'd once faced. How's Lily? Dorian asked. Ivy beamed. Top of her class. Just got accepted to Stanford's pre-law program. She wants to help people like we do, but through the legal system. Following in her mother's footsteps, not her father's. Speaking of which, Mac interjected, has he tried to contact her again? Ivy's expression hardened slightly. He sends birthday cards from prison. She returns them unopened. She hasn't forgotten what he did to our family. The years have been kind to Ivy. After the very public collapse of her marriage, she'd thrown herself into rebuilding not just her own life, but others as well. The society pages that once fawned over Sabrina now praised Ivy for her humanitarian work. The new wing's dedication ceremony is next month, Ivy continued. The governor confirmed he'll attend. We're getting coverage from all major networks. Perfect timing, Mac noted. It's almost the anniversary of the Serpent's Den being exposed 5 years. Sometimes it feels like yesterday, Dorian mused. His phone buzzed another blocked message from Sabrina. She still tried to reach him occasionally, though less frequently now. The messages ranged from pleading to threatening to desperate attempts at manipulation. He deleted them all. You promised to speak to the support group today, Ivy reminded him. Dorian stood, straightening his tie. These sessions were important not just for the people in the room, but for him, too. Showing others that survival was possible, that betrayal didn't have to define them. The support group met in a comfortable, welcoming room. 20 people looked up as Dorian entered. New faces mixed with familiar ones, all sharing that same wounded but determined look he'd once seen in his own mirror. My name is Dorian Graves, he began. And like you, I was betrayed by someone I trusted completely. He told his story, not the sanitized version the press had spread, but the raw truth. The discovery, the pain, the cold rage that had fueled his response, all of it. Dorian continued. But revenge alone is hollow. True victory comes from transforming pain into purpose. That's why we're here, not just to survive betrayal, but to emerge stronger. After the session, Dorian found Mac waiting in his office. I've got something you should see, Mac said, pulling up data on his tablet. Remember that offshore account we could never trace? Finally cracked it. Dorian reviewed the information. The account led to more of Samuel's hidden assets, money they could recover for his victims. Send it to the prosecutors, Dorian instructed. Make sure the pension fund gets first claim. Already done. But that's not the interesting part. Max scrolled to another document. Look who else was involved. Dorian studied the names. More conspirators, more people who'd helped cover up Samuel's crimes. They thought they'd escaped notice. They were wrong, Max said with satisfaction. Want me to release this? Not yet, Dorian replied. Let's do this properly, build the cases, gather evidence, then take them all down at once. Mac grinned. Just like old times. Justice, Dorian corrected, his smile holding that same cold edge that had once terrorized the Serpent's Denver. Not revenge. There's a difference. Later that evening, Dorian visited the center's child care facility. Lily was there volunteering, as she often did after school. At 17, she'd grown into a poised young woman, with her mother's grace and a determination to right wrongs. Uncle Dorian, she hugged him warmly. Did you see my acceptance letter? Stanford's lucky to have you. He smiled. They're lucky to have you. Your mother's very proud. I couldn't have done it without you both. She gestured at the children playing nearby. You showed me how to turn bad things into something good. A news alert pinged on his phone, another story about Samuel's denied appeal. Lily noticed, but didn't react. She had long since processed her father's betrayal. He wrote again, she said quietly. Same excuses, same promises. And I burned it. Some things can't be forgiven, Dorian thought, squeezing her shoulder, proud of her strength. That night, while reviewing the day's reports, Dorian reflected on how far they'd come. The center had grown beyond his expectations. Lives were being changed, justice was being served. His phone buzzed a message from an unknown number, but not Sabrina this time. "Remember me? Your little scheme ruined my life. I was just a guest at that club. You had no right." Dorian forwarded it to Mac for tracing, then blocked the number. Occasionally, someone from the Serpent's Den tried to retaliate, but they never succeeded. The next morning brought news that Elena Hughes had tried and failed to launch a lifestyle blog under her new identity. Social media had quickly exposed her past, driving away sponsors. "Should we do something?" Ivy asked when he showed her. "No," Dorian replied. "She made her choices. Let her live with them. We have more important work to focus on." The center was expanding again, opening branches in 3 new cities. Each location would help more people escape toxic relationships, recover from fraud, and rebuild shattered lives. Mac's team had developed software to detect financial fraud patterns, helping prevent future Samuels from destroying lives. Ivy's outreach programs were being studied as models for trauma recovery. And Dorian, he had found his true purpose. The architect who once designed buildings now designed futures. The man who had once been consumed by revenge now helped others channel their pain into positive change. But he hadn't gone soft. When cases of betrayal or fraud crossed his desk, that cold ruthlessness resurfaced. He still believed that some actions were unforgivable, and some people deserved to lose everything. The difference now was in how he applied that judgment: strategic demolition over blind destruction, calculated justice rather than pure revenge. His empire had evolved, but its foundations remained unshaken. Betrayal had consequences. Actions had prices, and sometimes the most elegant form of revenge was simply ensuring that people faced the full weight of their own choices. A week later, he attended Lily's graduation ceremony, watching her accept her diploma with honors. He remembered that night at the Serpent's Den, a child's innocence piercing through layers of adult corruption. Now, she stood tall, unshaded by her father's sins, learning from the mistakes of others instead of repeating them. In that way, perhaps some good had come from all the pain. After the ceremony, Ivy hugged her daughter, tears of pride in her eyes. "Your father tried to send a gift," she mentioned quietly. "Return it," Lily replied firmly. "I have all the family I need right here." Later, while reviewing applications for the center's scholarship program, Dorian found himself reflecting on cycles: how betrayal could lead to either destruction or growth, how revenge could either consume or transform. His phone buzzed Mac, sending an update on their latest case. Another financial predator, thinking himself untouchable, another web of lies waiting to be exposed. Dorian smiled. Some habits died hard, but now, he had built something lasting, something that would continue to help others long after Samuel and Sabrina had faded from memory. Their betrayal had forged him into something stronger, more purposeful. The Serpent's legacy wasn't destruction, after all. It was transformation, and in the end, that was the sweetest revenge of all. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.